It is February the 15th, 2024, and I've got three best bets for you, two in college basketball, one in the NBA. It's a short slate today, but we can still find some winners. Let's dive into the free three. What's up, guys? It's your boy Noble Living back with another DYF Bets video where I'm breaking down my favorite picks and plays of the day as we just try to get to the bag together and make some money. Now, last night on Valentine's Day, we did pay for dinner, we did pay for drinks. Not a sweep, but a winning day. 2-1 on the day. We cashed on the Lakers and Jazz over in the late night game. We cashed on Seton Hall spread. No sweat bet. They absolutely blew out Xavier. We did lose on Kelly Oubre's points. I told you it was either going to be Kelly Oubre or Buddy Hield. It was Buddy Hield who ended up getting off. Kelly Oubre just had a bad shooting night. 2-1 on the day. You can see our year-to-date record right here. It's gaining some momentum now in the month of February. Hopefully we can keep this hot streak going, keep this momentum building, so this way we can end off this month and this week strong. And this is our first weekend without football and Lord knows how long, so we definitely need to be tapped in on the basketball side, and it's all-star break as well, so we're definitely going to have a limited slate over the next few days, but we can still find winners. And listen, if you want to find more winners, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, because we're going to be putting out winning bets and plays every single day. I appreciate all the love and support. Now let's dive into these best bets. For my first best bet of the day, you guys will probably know where I'm headed. I'm going to the NBA. You probably know what angle I'm going to take because I am going to this Warriors and Jazz matchup, and I just got to go with the over 237 points, minus 110 odds. Now, listen, guys, you don't need a full breakdown on why I'm taking the over because if you've been tapped in the channel over the last week or so, we've been taking the overs really in Jazz games and Warriors games and Hawks games. And then we've also been on the side of tailing the Warriors as well. I can't really take them on the money line in this game because the spread's now at 2.5 in favor of the Warriors, but they are on the road in this matchup. It is the second out of the back-to-back for them. The Jazz lost last night, so I just don't know if the Warriors are going to pull out the victory after they lost last night, but I am going to lean to the over. You don't want to get too greedy because we did cash in on the same matchup earlier this week when we did take the Warriors on the money line against this very same Jazz team. Actually, that game went under in that matchup. They had a high total of about 238, 239 in that game, and it actually went under, but you're probably saying, no, but why are you taking the over? Because one, I like the fact that it's the second out of the back-to-back. I'll break that down here in a second, but this is also the makeup game for January 17th. So neither of these teams are really slated to play this game, but with the All-Star break right around the corner where both of these teams will get 7-8 days worth of rest, I see them both playing hard and trying to go into the All-Star break with some momentum, given the fact that they both lost yesterday. Both of these teams can score the basketball. Golden State's ranked in the top 10, actually 6th in the NBA in points per game. Meanwhile, the Jazz are 11th in the NBA in points per game, but their total actually takes an increase by more than 4 points when they play at home. So they go from averaging about 118 points per game on average to over 122 points per game when they're at home, and that's exactly where this game is played today. I also like the fact that both of these teams struggle defensively guarding the ball. Both are in the bottom 10 in terms of points allowed. The Warriors are giving up about 118 points per game. Meanwhile, the Jazz are giving up about 120 points per game. So just on the averages, based on what these teams give up and based on what they score, we should be able to go over this total of 237. But I also mentioned earlier that I like the fact that both of these teams are coming off a back-to-back, and I like the fact that this game went under the first time they played. I looked at the Warriors' schedule this year. They played 10 back-to-back games so far this season. That's probably number one in the league. That's pretty crazy to see. And in those games where they're playing on the second night of a back-to-back with 0 days of rest, they've gone over the total in 8 of the 10 games. That's absolutely crazy, right? Here's another stat that I found. In one of the times that they went on back-to-back games, right, they played Portland within the same week. So they played Portland, they won, lost that game, whatever happened. Then they played Portland again in that same week, and that second time they played them was on the second night of a back-to-back. And guess what? That game went over. So we're in a very similar situation here where the Jazz and Warriors are facing off for the same time or the same opponent within the same week on the second night of a back-to-back, and we've seen that the Warriors have done this earlier this season. That game went over. So for me, I'm just going to lean towards the over in this matchup just because of what the trend is telling me, just because of what the numbers are telling me. The Jazz are 15-11 to the over at home. Meanwhile, the Warriors are 11-13 on to the over on the road. So for me, I like the fact that we should see some scoring today. All-Star breaks around the horizon, so they'll get plenty of time to rest. I'm expecting a lot of buckets in this matchup matchup. So give me the Warriors and Jazz over 237 as the first best bet of the day. Now for our second best bet of the day, I'm going to head over to the college slate here. And I'm going to go with a mid-major that you probably don't follow too often. And we got the Bryant Bulldogs taking on the Maine Black Bears. And I have to go with Bryant minus 5.5, minus 110 odds. Now typically you guys know I don't like to lay that 5.5 number. I like to get that 4.5 number or cheaper. Really that 3.5 number because that's a key number there. But I'm willing to lay the 5.5 points with Bryant because of the revenge angle that we're getting in this matchup. Now, Bryant is at home in this game, and Bryant has a pretty strong home court advantage there in Rhode Island as they're taking on the Maine Black Bears, which are not really that good of a game. But I mentioned it is a revenge angle because these two teams faced off earlier this season at Maine, and Maine actually won that game 79-72, which was not an expected loss for Bryant, which now dropped Bryant to 6-2 in conference play. Since that loss, though, Bryant has bounced back. They picked up a home win against New Hampshire and then picked up an away win against Binghamton. Now they've got Maine coming into their stadium where Bryant has been solid all year round, and I think that Bryant's going to pull out this game. The thing that's the main matchup that I'm looking at is the pace of play. Bryant plays really fast, third in college basketball in pace of play, one of the fastest teams in all of college basketball, top 3. And then meanwhile, Maine is pretty slow of a team, 275th in adjusted tempo for Maine, but they struggle shooting the ball. They struggle scoring the ball. 313th in offensive efficiency. They really depend on their defense, which is top 150 on KenPom, actually 113th on defensive efficiency. They force a lot of turnovers, 52nd in turnover percentage on the defensive side. But for me, I just think that this is a matchup for Bryant where they're going to play too fast. They have the home court advantage, and they have got the revenge angle as well. Coming off of a tough loss to New Hampshire on the road, Maine did in their last game. They now fall to 3-6 in conference, so they're not really there in conference contention in terms of winning the conference. Meanwhile, Bryant, on the other hand, is right there at the top of the conference. They have a chance to really win this thing. So for me, I feel like that just the number lies with Bryant. KenPom has this as a 7-point win for Bryant as well. I do agree with that number there. So give me the fact that Bryant has the better offense, and they have the better defense as well, 80th in defensive efficiency. So I think that this is going to be a matchup that favors Bryant. I know it's a lot of points to lay. If you want to take them on a money line with another money line favorite, I'm not opposed to that. We actually might do that inside the Discord group as a bonus added play. But for me, we're just going to lay the points with Bryant in a revenge angle at home against a Maine team that struggles on the road. Now, for my third and final best bet of the day, we are going to stay in the college ranks, and we are going to go to the Pac-12 in a late-night West Coast matchup. We're going to take the Washington Huskies over the Stanford Cardinals. Minus 3.5 is the spread, minus 125 odds. Now, you're probably seeing minus 4 or minus 4.5 on your book. That is okay, but I would encourage you to pay for the points to get this down to that key number of 3.5, so that way we can get the 2 possessions right there. Now, Washington Huskies is at home. Washington has been a little bit disappointing on this year, in all honesty, when it comes down to their Pac-12 play. Only 5-8 in the conference. But meanwhile, Stanford comes into town 7-6 in the conference. They picked up some big conference wins. We saw them pick up a win against Arizona at home earlier this year. We saw them beat USC last game at home. So we've seen Stanford being able to pick up some wins, and they actually beat this Washington Huskies team earlier this year at home. That was back on January the 20th. They won that game 90-80. But this is the thing. This is why I like Washington in this game. 1, Washington's a lot better at home than they are on the road. We've seen that all year. 2, revenge angle. They lost last time to Stanford. Now they get to take them on their home court. But 3, Stanford in that game, okay, when these two teams faced off in that January 20th matchup, when I said Stanford dropped 90 points in that matchup, okay, Stanford, they shot the ball 13 of 24 from the three-point line. Now, we know Stanford shoots a ton of threes. They're the number 1 three-point shooting team in the Pac-12, top 5 in the country in terms of three-point shooting. They shoot the ball over 40% from the three-point line. Like, they can shoot that thing. But shooting the ball at 13 of 24 from the three-point line is not sustainable. That's over like 50-60%. And now you have to go on the road. I expect some regression to happen considering the fact that Stanford is on the year about a 39% three-point shooting team. And to keep in mind that Washington did not shoot the ball that well from the field in that game as well against Stanford and still only lost that game by 10 despite the fact that Stanford hit so many three-pointers. So for me, I think this is a bounce-back spot for Washington at home. Minus 3.5 is a good number there. We're not laying too much juice. Washington is an offensive squad. So if this one becomes an offensive shootout, I do think that it favors Washington at home today. Stanford does turn over the ball a lot as well. Washington is not the biggest defensive team, or they don't cause a lot of turnovers, but you give this offense extra possessions, especially unprovoked or without them really trying to force it. For me, I think Washington's going to pull out the win today. So give me Washington minus 3.5. But if you want to take them on the money line and parlay them with Brian on the money line because you don't want to lay the points, be my guest. That's a little two-team steam that you can feel free to do. But I like both of these teams in revenge angles at home, and also in the fact that we're getting good numbers with them. And just the fact that moneyline parlays for us have been hit or miss. So for me, I'm just going to start laying some spreads. It worked for us yesterday. Let's do it again today. Well, that's it for me today, my friends. 3 best bets, 3 winners that are headed to your way on this Thursday slate. Give me the Jazz and Warriors over in that game. Give me Bryant minus 5.5 on the spread. And then give me the Washington Huskies late night minus 3.5 on the spread. For more best bets, more picks in place, player props that we're going to be dropping a few NBA games today, click the link in the description. Join the free Discord group where you can get some of those added winners. I appreciate all the love and support. Continue to get to that money, dictate your fate, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Later, gang.